Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be Life Keeps Kicking My Ass. Well, I've got an email here from a viewer who's struggling in a lot of areas of his life. So before I get into his email, I got a quote I'd like to share with you. And it says, "Life isn't all sunshine and roses. Your struggles and your challenges happen to you for a reason. They happen in order to give you exactly what you need to become strong enough and wise enough to become the person you're capable of becoming in order to accomplish your life's purpose. The average person lives a life of quiet desperation because they are too afraid to go for what they really want. Only the most determined, focused, optimistic, and internally driven people will do what it takes to change their circumstances for the better by taking consistent, sustained action. Unsuccessful people make excuses. Successful people take action and succeed because they know success begins and ends with what they are willing to do." Well, one of the things I learned 20-something years ago from Tony Robbins was that people will do more to avoid pain than they will do to gain pleasure. And as a life coach, when I talk to people, especially like when they're trying to figure out what their purpose is in life, it's that deep down people know what they really want to do, what they're really passionate about. And when I look at their lives and I ask them questions, in some way, shape, or form, either through the magazines that they're reading or the websites that they frequent on the internet or just their hobbies, they're trying to meet their real true purpose in life. And it's the type of thing that you have a burning desire to do, something that's really emotionally compelling, something that just, it's like you feel it's what you were put on this earth to do. It's like what I do with my coaching practice. I feel like I was put on earth to do what I'm doing now. And I've got a lot bigger plans and things that I'm going to do 5, 10, 15, 20 years out that will grow from what I'm doing today. And one of the things I learned from Steve Jobs in his biography is he said, it's not until you get a little older and you're able to look back that you can kind of connect the dots of your life. In other words, to see the significance of people, jobs you had, circumstances, maybe classes that you took that you just took because you had an interest. It's not until years later when you're looking back you can see how perfectly everything just kind of lined up for you. And even though it's hard, you don't really see that at the time, as long as you keep moving towards what feels right, what's emotionally compelling. Because at the end of the day, if you want to become great at anything in life, you have to pick something to do that you really love and that you have a passion for. Because if you're not passionate about your work and what you're doing or your career or even your business that you're involved in, you're never really going to do what it takes in order to really become as successful at it as you possibly can do. And that's one of the things like I said, I really spend a lot of time with clients. They're trying to figure out what their purpose is in life. And it's like kind of deep down at some level, we all know what we're supposed to do. But because of all these fears, either fear of success, fear of failure, fear that we're not enough, in other words, fear that we don't have what it takes in order to succeed, or fear that we're not going to be accepted by our friends, family, or peer group, we just avoid it and we make excuses for it. And as an entrepreneur, part of being successful as an entrepreneur is becoming good and successful with failure. Because when you have an idea or what you think is the next greatest idea for a business that anyone's ever come up in the history of having a business, then you go out and you start putting it into practice. You start trying to create a business around that. Most of your ideas, unfortunately, aren't going to work. But the beauty of that is if you have a passion for it and you keep changing your approach, you keep learning, you keep analyzing, you look at other people that are maybe have similar businesses that they're already successful in, or have an aspect of their business that you really like, and then you learn from them, you model their success, you find out what they're doing in order to, so you can model their success basically and learn. Because if you learn from somebody who's already succeeding at what you want to do and you apply those same action steps in your own life, you'll get the same kind of results. And it can really speed up the amount of time. Instead of you beating your head against the wall 5, 10, 15, 20 years trying to learn things, It's go learn from people that are already succeeding or have already succeeded at what it is that you want to do and apply what they're doing in their lives or in their businesses or their careers, and you'll get the same kinds of results. But let's get into this guy's email. He says, "Hey coach, life just keeps kicking my ass. In 2008, I found my father dead on the kitchen floor with a stove ablaze. My mother already had Alzheimer's disease. She passed a year and a half later. I have no family, no girlfriend to help me through things." He says, "I'm an only child, I'm a bachelor, and I have no kids. My relatives couldn't give a shit. In between this, my back finally gave out and I lost my long-time job and was forced to retire too young. I got involved in a bitter lawsuit with my employer over the job loss. And to top it all off, my dog died of lung cancer. I'm 53, and I'm sure you remember me from last week." This guy had previously written to me, and I did another video newsletter. This was a guy, control freaks and abusive men, I think that was more of a dating question. Here, this email deals with obviously quality of life, which if you're not happy in your life, if you feel like things suck, and obviously you always have a choice in life. You have a choice over, you can't necessarily control the circumstances of your life, but you can always control what they mean to you. In this particular case, we all have things in our lives that we don't like, or maybe things in our past that didn't go well or the way we wanted to. But we don't have to let that define us. That doesn't have to be where we live emotionally or mentally, because we can let go of the past and who we were. But a lot of people stay stuck in the past of their past failures, or maybe you tried to start a business one time and it didn't work out too well, and you think, oh, well, it's never going to work out for me. Well, it just means that, a strategic planner once taught me, he said, there's no such thing as a bad idea, only bad plans. And that's the part of figuring out the secret sauce, is adapting your approach, taking action, noticing what's working, and also noticing what's not working in your life. And then so you can do more of what's working, and then the things that aren't working, you try something else. You change your approach. Successful entrepreneurs are slow to change their minds, but they're very quick to change their approach. In other words, when you see that something's not working, obviously the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And so you have to try something else. And you keep trying things, trial and error, keep looking for other people that you can maybe study their success if they have the kind of success that you want, and apply that, and that will speed up your success. But it's just the average person, they don't have the wherewithal or the belief system to persevere through things when they get really hard and they get really tough, because they've got their friends or their family chirping their ear going, oh, that's a stupid idea. Oh, that'll never work. Oh, you're an idiot for doing that. But it's like, if you know what you want and you really have a passion for it and you feel like it's your purpose to do it, then it's just a matter of time to figure out how to synthesize that into a successful business model or a successful career, or what you should do for a living. He says, I won't take pills or abuse alcohol or drugs like so many do, and I'm very active. He says, question, how can I overcome all of this shit and move on? Another thing that Tony always has said numerous times in his books, and because I've been to a lot of his live seminars, I was a platinum partner of his for a year, almost 10 years ago at this point now. And one of the things he always says, it's so true, is the past does not equal the future. You can't go back in time and do anything about yesterday or 6 years ago or 10 years ago. And you can't step forward 10, 15, 20 years in advance. The only moment that really exists is right now. And so you have control over the action that you take or the action that you choose not to take in this present moment. And what you do today and tomorrow and the day after that, that's going to determine where you end up 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. And so, I mean, talking about family members, like, because obviously we all lose our parents. Eventually, I've lost a bunch of my friends. My mother has since passed away. All of my grandparents have since passed away. And all of the family members on my mother's side of the family, I haven't talked to them, and probably the last time I talked to any of them was my mother's funeral, and that was almost 10 years ago at this point. We were never really close. And it's like, I can't do anything about that. I can't make them become loving aunts and uncles and cousins. That's the way they are. If they don't want to be in my life, there's nothing I can do about it. The only thing I can do about it is choose my peer group. I have the ability to choose, just like you do, who you want in your life. And so if you don't have a good group of peers or friends, the cool thing is you can meet people right now today. You can go out, you can use some of the social skills that I talk about in my video, Improving Your Social Skills. You can meet new people and meet new friends. Because another thing is the quality of your life is going to be in direct proportion to the quality of the people who you consistently spend your time with. And if you want to become something more than you are today, if you want to become greater than who you are and what you are presently, but you've got a lot of people in your life that are always kind of bringing you down, or they always have a problem or something that doesn't go well, or it's not going well. It's like every time you talk to them, like, oh man, you're not going to believe what happened to me today. And internally you're going, oh fuck, not again. Another story of how his life sucks or her life sucks. If you want to be better than you are, hang out with people that are more successful than you. Hang out with people who are optimistic. Hang out with other people who are going after their dreams, who don't let little shit get in the way of them going after the things that they want. Read books on self-help. Obviously, Tony Robbins is somebody I highly recommend. I wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing without what I learned from him. But at the end of the day, he's just another guy, just like I am, or anybody else for that matter. And you should never put anybody else's opinion or what they know above your own. At the end of the day, you got to trust your own heart and your own intuition above anyone else's. And so the key is like, if you want to have a life, if you're not where you want to be ideally in your life, if you're not really happy with your life circumstances, that's okay. It may take you 5 years, it may take you 10 years, it may take you 15 years to create the ultimate life. Maybe you got to go to school and spend several years getting a college degree, or a different degree for that matter. Or you want to start a business, but you got bills to pay, you got a family, you got kids you got to raise, and so you can't just stop what you're doing and go tinker with a business. It's the type of thing you might have to build it in your garage for the next 5 years or 10 years until and build it on the side and do it part-time until it gets to the point where it can support you full-time. I mean, not everybody's going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg and build a website that has over 1 billion users within 5 years. It just doesn't work that way for everybody. I know it didn't work for me. And the interesting thing is, this business I have now is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. But it was also the hardest business that I ever had built, and all the businesses and construction companies and real estate mortgage companies that I was involved in the past. Just because everything that I knew from the real estate and mortgage industry, like when it came to advertising and marketing, didn't apply for this type of business that I have now. And so it took me 4.5 years to figure out my business model. And I had to deal with all kinds of insults and people putting me down, people that knew, oh, you're an idiot, you had all this stuff, you were so successful, and you're doing this thing, and all you've done is spend money on it, and you haven't made any money. You look at like Pixar Pictures, which was a company that Steve Jobs bought from George Lucas back in 1984 or 85, I think it was, for $5 million. And he didn't need it anymore because he got what he needed out of the company when he was editing the Star Wars films, how to digitally edit things without losing resolution, like with the old film that they used to have. And so he tinkered with this thing, and he put almost half the money that he walked away from Apple, which was like 55 million, I think it was. And so it wasn't until Toy Story came out in I think it was 95, 96 when it was, almost 10 years after he started Pixar Pictures, that he was actually within 2 or 3 weeks of that movie when it had its opening, he had an IPO for Pixar, and of course Toy Story was a huge success, and I think it had a market cap of something like 1.2 billion. But he had lost his ass for a decade. Can you imagine $50-something million of your own money, and 8-9 years in, you haven't made a dime off of it? How many people would have the desire and the wherewithal to keep persevering? Well, the reason he kept persevering with it is because he had a passion for it. He believed in his team, the animators and the other computer programmers that worked for him in Pixar, and that's why he stuck with it, because he believed. It's just like when you look at Tesla Motors. Elon Musk, he started that company almost 10 years ago. He invested every penny that he had made from when he sold PayPal into Tesla, into SpaceX, and he had borrowed a lot of money from his friends and family and other people that he knew. And he was dead flat broke. But he believed so much into what he was doing and the vision that he had for Tesla and SpaceX. And look at those two companies now. Look at Tesla now. I mean, within the past year, it was $30 a share. And now it's close to, I think, $200 a share now. And everybody's saying he's a genius. He's the next Steve Jobs. Well, he has a passion for it, and he doesn't listen to the naysayers, the other weak people. And why he has success for that? Because at a young age, he realized he had two successful internet companies. He wanted to do something with electric cars, and he wanted to do something with space travel. Those were his passions. That's the things that he really had a burning desire to go after. Those were things that were so emotionally compelling that he couldn't think of anything else. It's just like me in the business that I have now. When things got really tough, because I couldn't come up with anything else that I'd rather do and I still wasn't making money at it, that's what kept me going. Because I loved it. I had a passion for it. And if you start a journey on building a new business or a new career, if you don't have a passion for it, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, when you haven't reached the level of success that you feel you should, you'll just quit and you'll give up. And that's a lot of people. They go into a business with the mindset of how much money they're going to make, instead of going after something that is really emotionally compelling, something that's really exciting to them. Because if you're starting a business, you might be doing something for free for a lot of years before you start making any kind of real money at it. And that's why it's so critically important to choose something that it's emotionally compelling. You have a burning desire to do it. So he says, it seems like as soon as I start to remotely feel a little better, I get punched in the gut again. And I've leaned on friends too much. And that's where it comes in, like I was talking about earlier, about having a good peer group around you. And if you've got something you're striving for, but you don't have any friends in your life that have the same kinds of goals and ambitions and dreams as you do, you need to get some people like that into your life, some people that you can lean on, because they'll understand what you're going through. If you're an entrepreneur and all your friends are working jobs, they're not going to understand. Their mindset is going to be trying to get you to go back and work for somebody else and have the same kind of mindset that they have. You want to become a better tennis player? Play with people who are better than you. You want to become a better golfer? Play with people that are better golfers than you. If you want to become a successful entrepreneur, hang out with people who are more successful entrepreneurs and business people than you are. He says it's really hard not to feel weak and needy with all this shit going on, and women see this a mile away. That's why you can't do it for them. You have to do it for yourself. You have to pursue something that you love because it's what you want to do. Because you got to make you happy first. Because if you're not happy, you're not going to be happy with a woman. Even if you meet a girl tomorrow and you fall in love and things are awesome, 6 months, a year later, once the honeymoon period is over, once the infatuation wears off, she'll still be great and she'll still be awesome. But at the end of the day, if your life still sucks, it's still going to suck 6 months from now, a year from now. And that's why the number one most important thing that a man needs to focus on in order to be happy, successful, and fulfilled, not only in his personal life, but in his intimate life, is to do something he really loves, something that he really is excited about. He says, I don't bring all my shit up, but they can sure sense that something is up with me, and it creeps them out. Yeah, because you're probably in your head, and you're thinking about all the things that aren't going well in your life. You're probably maybe feeling a little ashamed about yourself. You're a little worried about what they're going to think when they realize that you feel like you're deep down that your life sucks. That's why it's important to figure out what it is that you want to do, what you were put on this earth to do. And so if you're at that place, you want to change your career, you want to figure out what your purpose is in life, or maybe you want to turn your business around, go to my website, click the products tab, which will be at the top of your screen, and book a paid phone coaching session so I can help you in a 1-hour phone coaching session figure out what your life purpose is. Because once you have a life purpose, something that you know is what you were put on this earth to do, something that's exciting and it's emotionally compelling, Then it's just a matter of taking action and moving towards it. And if you've got something to be enthusiastic about in your life, something that you're excited about, even if it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years off in the future before it'll really take off for you, at least you got something that you're working towards. And that's what a woman wants. A woman wants a guy who is fearless, a guy who's going after the things that he wants in life. Even if he's not successful today, he expects to be successful in the future. And that's what kept me going, like I said, through the difficult times in all the companies I started over the years. Even when it didn't look like it was going to work out, which for most of the time, until you figure things out, it doesn't look like it's going to work out. But if you have hope and you're optimistic and you're taking action and you're excited about what you're doing and you're passionate about it, other people will see it, they'll sense it, they'll feel it, and they'll love being around you. They'll love your sense of optimism. So I will talk to you soon.